Students, welcome to the Glion Luxury Panel. Good afternoon to our audience listening on our LinkedIn Live. We are broadcasting live from our Bulle campus here in Bulle to a live audience. So this is a first for us, and it's an amazing first. We are extremely proud and privileged to have with us some amazing guests today, and I'm going to hand over immediately to Martin, our moderator, who will make the introductions. I hope you enjoy this session, and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to what I hope will be a very insightful discussion around the business of luxury over the next hour. People are still filing in, but I'll do my introductions of our wonderful panel today. And we're going from left to right. And my first guest is Pierre-Olivier Aguinalin, and he is the Chief HR Officer at Hublot. Now, all of you with an interest in luxury will know the brand name of Hublot, but in fact, it's a relative newcomer to the world of high-end watches, having been established in 1980. Now, Pierre-Olivier has led the company's HR function since 2019, and he brings particular skills and expertise in areas such as talent acquisition and talent management. Now, my second guest is also immersed in the world of watches, and he is Mathieu Girard, and he is country manager for Switzerland for Watchfinder. Now, if you're a watch fan like me, you'll certainly know the name Watchfinder. It's actually now part of the Richemont group, but it's grown from a really small, specialized, online-only retailer to now be a global phenomenon. And it now also has around 20 physical retail stores as well, including 3 in Switzerland, which fall under Mathieu's remit as country manager. Now, the retail space is also the playground of my third guest, Nasos Samaras. Nasos is manager of the Moncler store in the very wonderful Swiss ski resort of Zermatt. Previous to that, he's worked in client-facing roles for the brand since 2017. So he certainly knows how to provide a great experience to please the customer. I'll also, sure, he'll be able to shed some light on some of the exciting collaborations that Moncler is doing through its Moncler Genius initiative. And last, but by no means least, someone who will be familiar to many of you in this room, my final guest is Dr. Eleonora Cattaneo, who is Program Director for the Luxury-Focused Business Bachelor's and Master's degrees here at Glion. You could say Eleonora was steeped in luxury from an early age because she was born and raised in Milan, which, as we all know, is one of the great capitals of luxury. She's worked as a consultant for several luxury brands, and luxury has her academic specialization for around 5 years now, and she has also authored 2 books on luxury just this year alone. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm round of applause to our panel. So as I mentioned, we have plenty of topics to get through. We're going to try and have a little bit of time at the end for audience questions. I can't promise, but we'll do our best. So we're at a recruitment event. There's a lot of young talents keen to be recruited out there. So it makes sense that we talk first about talent, and in particular, how luxury can make the talent connection and how young talents can make the connection to luxury. So I'll start with you, Pierre-Olivier, if I may. Now, your role obviously puts you at the very front line of talent recruitment, management, retention. Can you just give us a little flavour, a little insider's flavour of how that talent picture has evolved over the last few years?
Yes, there is an evolution because obviously the luxury industry is evolving and changing. So it means in terms of skills, we are not looking for the same skills as before. But with our past discussion, I mentioned to you, Martin, that today for me what is becoming more and more important to connect with the luxury is that today for me sometimes we distinguish hard skills and soft skills. And the hard skills, this is what you know, what is your educational background and so on. And the soft skills, it's more your attitude, your values, your mindset, your openness, your curiosity, your empathy. And today, in a world which is more and more complex, when we want to find the right talent, and it's never an easy exercise, the soft skills are becoming more and more important than the hard skills. So that's for us, it's something that we try to assess, try to identify when we recruit. And recruitment is something which is always challenging because we need to find the right person for the right job at the right moment, and all of that needs to be perfect.
Thank you, Pierre-Olivier. Let's switch to the other side of the talent equation. And Eleonora, if I may ask you, you're a program director at a business school, and what comes with the territory of that is basically preparing graduates for careers, to make career-ready graduates. So from that perspective, how should young talents, like the people in the room, like the people joining us online, how should they look to make the connection to a luxury industry, which we all know is a very in-demand job destination?
So certainly bearing in mind what's just been said, there is a huge need for soft skills, but don't forget the hard. So you possibly take the hard skills for granted, but that means that you've got to have a solid basis of hard skills, and then the soft skills, which we try as much as possible to develop here, are also very important. And the other thing that I would say is never stop learning, never stop being curious, looking at ways to learn more about an industry you love. If there's a sector that you particularly love, look at that, read about it, immerse yourself in it, and certainly your journey doesn't end with a master's program. When you join an industry, I'm sure that when you join an industry like Hublot or Watchfinder or Moncler, there will be an expectation that you will continue on your learning journey.
Thank you very much. Now, Nasos, in retail, as we all know, you're in the front line. Services, everything service is important to the brand. Service is what keeps your customers coming back, and I know it's something that's very close to your heart. So as such, and from that perspective, what are the must-have skills and attributes that you look for when you're looking, particularly for the customer-facing roles?
I will probably narrow it down to a few because to make it also more simplistic to understand, I would say politeness is very important. Observation skills, because you really need to have this attention to detail, and also learning while being in the industry. What we said about curiosity earlier as well, like these are the things that you really need to have when you want to step into that. And then be a person to create, I will link it here to hospitality, be hospitable, because the people that will come to visit you in the store or in an establishment like a hotel or any other luxury industry, they will really need to feel like they're at home. So I think these things will create the right, environment to welcome them and then serve them properly. And then, of course, then moving on, if you really sell a product, to have the product knowledge, which is also something very important for us. And then these will complete the picture for what the proper skills, the must-have skills would be.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mathieu, if I can turn to you. Now, transitioning from an online-only brand to a physical retail brand is never an easy task. And I understand it's actually only 10 years since the first physical Watchfinder store opened in London. But now, as I mentioned before, you've got 3 stores in Switzerland. Tell me what it means to you as the manager of this territory, of this region, to have this physical presence, and what kind of ambience and experience do you try and create in those stores?
Yeah, sure. So hello everybody first. So just first, yeah, the business evolved is totally different from one market to another. So first of all, Watchfinder business has been built in the UK, and the UK was really digitally driven. At the very beginning, it was just a community of friends buying some watches, reselling it online, and they've started to own their own YouTube channels. The YouTube channels went very well, and they said, okay, maybe we can just deliver some nice watches to our YouTube viewers and so on. And so that's how the Watchfinder business has started. So at the very beginning, it was really a digital mindset business, let's say. Years after years, of course, having our own boutique means a lot in terms of client experience, meaning that clients could come by the boutique, seeing the watch, trying it, seeing and trying different watches, and so on and so on and so on, meaning that at the bottom of the funnel, having a physical boutiques, the conversion rate is way better and the boutique experience is way better. So now the mindset of Watchfinder is really having this kind of omni-channel mindset, saying that, okay, we need to get some traffic online, being top-notch on everything, digitally speaking, and then trying to invite clients to come by our stores to just live the real luxury experience in store. So it's really about top of the funnel, digital, bottom, physical.
Great stuff. Now, Nasos, I noticed you nodding sagely when Mathieu was talking about customer experience and all of that. Moncler, obviously, a much more longer established physical retailer. So tell us a bit about how you look to create that experience, and particularly through maybe training and coaching the staff that you have to deliver the Moncler brand experience.
Absolutely. So for sure, we need to create, let's say, a family ambience, so we welcome our colleagues, like the newcomers, let's say, that they want to work in the industry, and then training and moving on with what they need to learn. I will link it with what I said before. You need to have these observation skills, the curiosity, and for sure then you will do how we call in Moncler, like the Moncler way, to do the service, and then giving the luxury, we need to have diversity. So we need different personalities when it comes to the industry. We need to have people that are more attentive and some others that are more oriented to sales. So of course, you should not have only sales oriented. You should have also client oriented, let's say, and customer service. So you can give the level and also perform in terms of the retail part.
Excellent. And I noted there you mentioned the Moncler way. That's obviously that's sort of part of your brand, part of your culture. Mathieu, if I could just flip back to you again, is there a Watchfinder way? Is there a Watchfinder way that you're trying to establish for your resale side?
So just for us, the let's say the main difficult thing is that we are not a maison by our own, meaning that we are selling other maison. So we need to be neutral enough to be able to sell some Rolex, Cartier, or whatever, and in the meantime to be at the right level of luxury experience. So the Watchfinder way of doing retails would say to be luxury neutral, something like this.
Interesting. And do you achieve it?
We do our best, at least.
Excellent. Now, Pierre-Olivier, if I may come back to you, we've talked a bit about how to attract people, the types of people that these brands want to attract. But of course, attracting great people is one thing, retaining them is quite another challenge altogether. Can you sort of enlighten us a little bit about what Hublot does in terms of that talent management side, in terms of keeping its best people?
First, we used to say to people that a career is a long journey. So sometimes you need to do the different steps, taking and enjoying each different step of your career. Of course, we do training, we develop the skills, and as an HR function, we try to. We don't do, as I would say, on paper a career plan, but we do everything to build and to help you to build a career. This is what we do. But a career plan where every 3 years we know where we are going to do. It's a fake news. I mean, it's not a real life, because organizations are changing, and organization need to be flexible. But what we say in Hublot is that you can learn, you can test. When we recruit, for example, and when we promote people, I have to say that we are a risk-taking company. Sometimes we take the risk to promote or to move somebody to a certain position. And then we are lucky because we belong to a bigger group, which is LVMH. It's the number one in the luxury industry. And so we are more than 75 different brands and in different business sectors. And for us, somebody joining us at a certain point, sometimes there is no opportunity within our brand, but you can grow in another business, in another brand. So, and it's something that really we develop a lot. We do a lot internal moves, career development within the same division, within the same business or different business, and it's really something that we do a lot, and it's fascinating because it gives you the opportunity to move from jewelry business, watches business, to wine and spirit, go to perfumes, and it creates as well not only opportunity but as well experience to enjoy small organizations, bigger organizations, regional role, local role, corporate roles. So that's for us. That's what we do in terms of talent management.
And would you say that that career flexibility, that ability to go and work across different brands, is that a big attraction point that you find people coming to you for those reasons?
Exactly. And for example, I'm a good example. I joined LVMH 18 years ago. I spent 9 years in Louis Vuitton in 2 different jobs, one in the industrial part and the other one in the retail part, always at the human resources. And then I moved to a watch brand as HR director for Zenith. And then since 4 years now in Hublot. So in 18 years, I've been able to have 4 different jobs in 3 different companies. So it's something that is possible. Obviously, it's a question of opportunity, luck. You need to succeed. You need as well to be open to work abroad. But I'm sure that you are. So.
It's a perfect example of how it can be done. Now, we've got lots to cover, as I mentioned today, so I'm going to move quickly to our second topic, which is where we cover sustainability, a big talking point across all industries, and that also includes luxury now, as how to meet the sustainability challenge. It is a topic we've got to deal with head on, so I'm very interested to see what our panel have got to say from their own perspectives, from their brands. But actually, I'm going to start with Eleonora, who I interviewed for our magazine, The Insider, a little while ago. And we touched on the area of sustainability. And Eleonora, you talked about some of the areas where you felt the industry was making sort of fairly good progress, and others where there was perhaps less significant headway being made. Let's move things on a few months from that conversation. What's the current state of play in your mind with regard to sustainability in luxury goods?
Well, certainly, I asked my students to forgive me because we've discussed this in class quite extensively, but the luxury industry came a bit late to sustainability, but it's catching up fast. So there are, I think, all brands now have sustainability projects in place. Some brands even have a chief sustainability officer to oversee all the initiatives, and so certainly from that perspective there is a very clear way ahead. Then there's always the discussion that luxury is in its own way sustainable because it's not here today, gone tomorrow. If you buy luxury, it's going to stay with you for a long time. Maybe it will even pass on to the next generation. So that's that. There are some areas where you can do very well without certain unsustainable inputs, like you can do very good fur-free, fake fur, one brand, I don't know if we're allowed to mention brands, but now has a thing called cash fur, which is a fur-like fabric made from cashmere, which is fantastic. So there are all sorts of things you can do in that direction. And then there are other products which are going to take some time to develop in a sustainable way. So leather, the leather alternatives that we see now, the ones that try to reproduce leather, they are still a little bit, they're not quite the same thing. And there again, you could argue, but leather in general is sustainable because it's a byproduct of another industry. And so as long as you don't use exotics, you are pretty sustainable because you're using something that is a byproduct. And all the processes that go from tanning to dyeing have also become more sustainable. And so the chemicals that are used are not as damaging to the environment. The dyes that are used are also not damaging, and so on and so forth. So there are all sorts of areas in which luxury has made big progress. And then if you look at it from the other perspective, the customer, is the customer prepared to buy a leather alternative, a plant-based Birkin bag? I don't think so for the moment, but never say never. We'll see what happens in the future. On the other hand, and again, forgive me those who've already heard me say this, is the customer willing to accept a lab-grown diamond? Well, if you take your generation and the generation that is going to follow you, Generation Alpha, they pretty much are. So research shows that they're okay with lab-grown diamonds as opposed to mined diamonds.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Laura. And actually, one of the points you raised there, which I think is worth sort of taking up, and I'll start with Mathieu on this, because it's very much within his milieu, and that is the sort of luxury, almost as a pioneer of the circular economy, and luxury watchmaking in particular. We all hear of watches handed down from father to son, or mother to daughter, obviously. But it's also fair to say that the industry has really embraced the pre-owned marketplace, and Watchfinder has done extremely well in growing its brand on the back of that. And also for some of the rarer pieces, particularly during the COVID period, I was noting some absolutely stratospheric prices for the most collectible pieces. I mean, watches are big news, basically. So Mathieu, this obviously puts Watchfinder in quite a happy place, I would hope to see. But do you think that the almost insatiable demand for pre-owned, pre-loved watches, do you think that's going to continue? And in what direction do you think it might go in?
I think to answer this question, we just need to keep in mind how the pre-owned market, at least for watches, is built. By Watchfinder, but more broadly in the pre-owned watches industry, we've got three types of clients. And three reasons why you are entering to the pre-owned markets. The first one would be because of the value of the watches. So a lot of watches on the pre-owned market worth less than the retail price. So a lot of people who are not keen to pay full price by the boutique go to the pre-owned market and buy some nice watches for a cheaper price. First kind of clients. The second one is definitely clients which are more collectors, so looking for vintage or out-of-range products. So on this one, even if you are going by the boutique, you have absolutely no chance to find those watches. So you need to find an alternative way to find vintage pieces. The second point. And the third kind of clients is definitely the one I can imagine more discussing about, watches as investment vehicle or speculative watches. Rolex, Audemars Piguet, some model of Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, and so on and so on and so on. This one is definitely suffering the most. But the only category of the pre-owned market. So for the two first categories, I could say, and I can tell you that data and numbers are still going extremely well. For the investment vehicle categories, as all markets are suffering those days, we are suffering the same kind of issues.
Interesting. And obviously, we're not here to make investment recommendations. I would just stress on that one. But I mean, with that in mind, though, Mathieu, just from your market knowledge, I mean, can you sort of pick a few up and coming brands that we should just keep our eyes on in the years to come?
Sure, I can sell this advice if you want. Just kidding. Of course, what we are selling to our clients most of the day, of course, you've got some maison and some classic pieces that are suffering the less. So some Rolex, for example, some Submariner of this kind. By the way, you've got an iWatch, but this kind of model will stay the good good future. Some maison like Cartier, same here. The datas are pretty stable. But the most important thing is like when you are buying art, for example, just buy what you love and what you are just so happy to wear every single morning. And even if at the end of the day it wears nothing, you're still happy to have it on your wrist. Definitely.
Fantastic. Pierre-Olivier, if I may turn to you to talk more generally about sustainability, can you just give us a flavour of some of the activities that Hublot is engaged with in the area of sustainability at the moment?
Of course, it's something that first people, clients are expecting, and then knowing as well the trends of the global warming. I mean, sustainability. I mean, it is a focus for everybody now. So, as a watch brand, I mean, what we do a lot of things in terms of saving energy, for example. But that's the basic. What we try to do, and it was not easy, is to do a more eco-friendly product, and it comes with recycling some components. So we launched, I don't know if you have seen it, but we launched a partnership with Nespresso, for example, and we developed a specific watch, recycling two components, the capsule, the coffee capsule, and then even the holder of the coffee in the bracelet. So it's a try because we are a brand which loves to take risk. So we want to try. Obviously, it's something that to come into more production, it's another story. But around sustainability, there are two things. First, obviously, the recycling part, the fact that you can save some the energy and consumption in general. But the second aspect is in luxury, there is a strong culture of excellence, of quality. And when we talk about sustainability, we need to talk as well about sourcing. We need to source some gems, some stones, some diamonds, some other components like aluminium, like a bracelet, like leather, and so on. And being sustainable is as well to make sure that what we source, what we buy, first is very qualitative, but are respecting that our suppliers are respecting human rights. They respect as well some criteria in terms of how they produce as well themselves. So they are not spreading the energy in the air. So it's overall. So we take care basically when and it's difficult. I don't say that we are yet there, but the strategy is really to understand and to make sure that the entire supply chain is sustainable.
Okay. And does this also now start to play through to the employer brand? I mean, are you finding you're having these conversations around sustainability? What's Hublot doing? How good's the company with prospective employees? Is it going to feed ever more strongly into your employer brand that you offer?
Of course, there is no secret. It's an expectation, but not only from I would say the young generation. I mean, for everybody now. Okay, so and it comes to our working culture, what we do what are our values, and what is our responsibility as a corporation. So sustainability is one criteria, one value that we need to follow.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Now, Nasos, if I can turn to you. The sustainability story in store. Let's talk about kind of how it appears in store, how you act sustainably in store, but maybe also let's talk about some of the sustainability conversations you might have as well. So just to start with, how does sustainability play out in the store environment for Moncler?
First, in the level of employees, and we have eliminated the use of virgin plastic, and most of the products that we use also, we have a collection which is called Born to Protect. So this is made out of all the scraps that we use during production, 100% recycled. So you make the threads and fabrics as well from 100% sustainable material. And as we said, again, this goes on and on. We even have programs that we volunteer to go and clean, for example, the K2 peak, in the the mountains in the Himalayas, which is also like a really strong initiative. And then people are always very keen to recycle, to do any program that has to do with sustainability inside the store and outside the store. Any initiative is being followed strongly by most of the employees, and the culture inside the company is really to support and help the nature, to make sure we are here and we are here and you are here, and then the future generations will have what we have today. So this is, I think, the most important steps that we have done towards that, and it's really rooted deep inside the company.
And in terms of those customer interactions, I mean, are they conversations that you're having more and more with customers? What are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? Or are they not?
People are interested, but you also you really need to educate the client. You really need to make them also aware of a product which is made out of fake fur or a byproduct, or that is not anymore the same thing. It's not a real fur. It's not an animal that is killed to take the fur, to take the trim. So you really need to educate them and make them understand. And of course, there is a lot of research going on as well to find the right product, to make it look like the real thing, feel like the real thing. And yeah, this is the part that the company has invested really a lot of money, and we can see it nowadays. Any of you, if you visit any of the stores, you can see that even the products that they're not using real fur are equally luxurious and good looking.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nasos. And now, Eleonora, just to give you the final word on this topic, if we're looking ahead, and from your perspective, where would you like to see the industry focusing its efforts in the area of sustainability? What sort of projects, what types of things would you like to see them tackling now?
I think as I said, the industry has come to sustainability, and so there are projects everywhere. Some of them are not luxury specific, like energy saving, so. If we focus just on luxury, I think certainly on the inputs that are used, so more recycling of old products, less use of animal products, less use of in general harsh chemicals, and so on. I think those are the projects that are already ongoing that maybe need a little bit more development. And then certainly, as you said, customer education, because the customer isn't necessarily, yes, there's this sort of general, I want to be sure that I'm buying sustainable, but it doesn't often go much beyond that. So certainly education in the store about what and why it is valuable, and communication on sustainable products, what you were saying before.
Maybe to add, on that, it's there is also craftsmanship going on a product that is made out of different material. There's still a lot of research, and because people always ask why this price, because we sell something which is not affordable by many, so of course you need to understand that this research and all this time spent to discover and find the ways to use sustainable material to create the same equally good product is of course something that needs to be paid. These are all very high top, let's say, researchers and professionals that they have contributed to that.
Excellent, thank you very much. So on to our third topic, and for this topic I want to touch on something that's fair to say we've seen an absolute explosion of in recent years, and that is partnerships. And by partnerships I basically mean not just celebrities endorsing a product or whatever, but it's cross-brand, cross-industry, cross-sector, and also these celebrity-to-brand partnerships, which are actually where the celebrity brings some creative input to the products themselves, not just adding their name to them. We've seen all manner of them, and I'm sure some of our panelists will talk about some of them, and indeed some of their own brands' activities in that area, and also perhaps we might also see a few future luxury connections made. So I'm going to bounce first to Eleonora, because as I mentioned at the outset, you've had not one but two books on branding and marketing in luxury published this year. So that gives you a pretty knowledgeable perspective on all of this. So what can you sort of tell us, maybe to set the scene, a little bit about the origin of some of these cross-brand partnerships and cross-industry partnerships, and perhaps how they kind of reflect the changing dynamics of the business?
Well, they're not limited to luxury. So collaborations between brands and celebrities, brands and artists, co-branding with other brands, they happen, I think, in all sorts of, possibly luxury is a little bit more focused on collaborations with artists, but co-branding and celebrity endorsement goes on in all industries. And so they are a way of, in the short term, reviving or focusing interest on the brand. They tend to be fairly short term. What I would say is they shouldn't be a solution to a brand problem. So if you think that a collaboration or a co-branding is going to revive a failing brand or is going to solve a contingent problem, it's not going to work. So I think that's what I would say. Having said that, when it's done well, it really is. It focuses attention on the brand. It can elevate a brand. So there are lots of positives around it.
And what are some of the particular success stories that you've seen that you say, well, that one really was a cracker, it worked well?
So we were discussing one before, which it isn't by any means my favorite, but it's just the one that comes to mind, which was in 2017, the Louis Vuitton Supreme collaboration, which, as well as being very visible and very actually was very profitable for the brands. So that's another aspect that this is business. So ultimately, there has to be some positive increase in revenue, profits. That is an outcome. It can't just be an exercise in brand awareness.
Sure, thank you very much. Now, Pierre-Olivier, I can remember many moons ago absolutely coveting an Hublot Ferrari watch. And I think it's fair to say that as a brand, there's always been a strong tendency towards partnerships across sectors, obviously including sport, as I mentioned, but music, social responsibility. I think it's a big, looking from the outside in, it looks like a big part of the kind of the process. There's obviously good commercial value to that. But with your talent, with your HR hat on, maybe sort of tell me a bit about how these partnerships work internally, how they again contribute to the employer brand, to the reputation of Hublot, and how they play out.
Of course, the fact that our partnerships is a driver of motivation and passion for the brand. I mean, I've been in my career in 3 different brands. I have to say that the employees I found in Hublot are very, very passionate about the brand, about the success of the brand, because as you mentioned, we are a young brand, 43 years old. So we were an outsider in the watch industry. We broke some codes of the watch industry, and it was a success, and it's still a success. So obviously, those partnerships are a driver of passion. You mentioned brand ambassadors, but of course, a brand ambassador who is wearing your watch is creating people motivation. Obviously, when we have the visit of Kylian Mbappé in the manufacturer, that's an event. So that's a big event. So it's difficult to control people, to talk with him, to take picture with him. So and then people they talk about it for years. So it's a drive of passion. Internally, but then partnerships as well. As for us, for a luxury brand, it's not we have ambassadors or partners with who at the end we co-craft new products, and for us it's we exchange our ideas of watchmaking. We exchanged like with Takashi Murakami, a Japanese artist. Both of us, we collaborate and we came out with a unique product. So it's not just a question of branding. For me, it's mainly a question of creativity. So we create both something unique, a unique piece.
Yes, I mean certainly from my point of view, I think where something a unique product comes out at the end of it is a much more sort of rewarding exercise, and that brings me quite neatly onto Moncler, Nasos, because obviously with this Moncler Genius initiative, you made a big splash with those partnerships, and it's really exciting. I was on the Moncler Genius website; it's just amazing. Collaborations with brands like Adidas Original, Pharrell Williams. It must be pretty exciting from an internal perspective to be part of that. But just tell me about that, what you know about that, and also how it plays out in a retail setting.
So definitely, Mr. Ruffini is a genius. Like having thought of this amazing, let's say, initiative to start the Genius program, which has really brought a lot of visibility to the brand because of all the collaborations, but also has brought also a lot of people in the stores that maybe they weren't clients of the brand. But of course, these collaborations were used, as you understand, as a tool to reach other clusters of clients which were not, let's say, immediately interested to get into Moncler. This worked super well. Really well, and so far performs extremely well. We have all of us working in the store. Of course, some of the flagship stores are more privileged because they have all the collections. Of course, some other stores that don't have. So we always wait to see who's going to be chosen to, let's say, have this collection and what comes in the store. And this brings excitement also to the staff to have certain things, because we are passionate about the product that we have. So of course it comes to a point that you really want to have it, because also you know how you can sell it as well. And so the clients as well will come and ask you for it. Of course, all of us, even if we don't have the product there, we know about it. And then this all, creates a big excitement between us, the clients, and all the people around that will be seeing, let's say, Moncler having these collaborations like Adidas Originals at this stage. And Pharrell Williams, again, it's like he's as you know, moved on to Louis Vuitton, but he's a really dear friend of Mr. Ruffini, and that's why we continued with the collaboration, and we had this collection coming.
Excellent, thank you, Nasos. Now, Mathieu, Watchfinder, I suppose, is the very definition of a multi-brand retailer. You just have to go on the site and search, and you've got all these amazing watch brands. So, from that perspective, how do partnerships work for you? How do partnerships play out from Watchfinder's perspective?
Sure. If I just may, I just would like to jump on what you just said.
Go.
Maybe just something quite interesting. Before Watchfinder, I used to work for Cartier, and one of the topic was, of course, collaboration and so on for younger generation. Is the hot topics and so on and so on. And we've worked a lot about what collaboration should or do Cartier need to do something around collaboration. And it's also a matter about how, not say powerful, but how big the brand is. Because at the end of the day, with a collaboration, what you allow is that someone else touching on your brand DNA, meaning that it's extremely powerful. And at the end of the day, just for Cartier, the reflection was like, okay, within Cartier, we've got this department doing some exceptional creation for kind of exceptional clients. For example, the Trinity ring was done by Jean Cocteau, or this kinds of stuff. So it's more about starting with a client for a real product in the real life, and at the end of the day, making it on a range or collections. So that's it was an interesting thinking and point
Thank
of view.
you.
And just regarding Watchfinder. So for us, once again, as we are not a maison, it's different to do some partnership, but we have two ways of working with other maisons. The first one comes with all the accreditation that we've got from all the other maisons to ensure that our watchmakers are certified to authenticate watches that we are buying. So it's one kind of a partnership that we have. And the second one is with Cartier, for example. we just been appointed the official pre-owned partner, meaning that with the pre-owned market, a lot of fake watches are going into the market. So thanks to us and thanks to this kind of partnership, Cartier has chosen us to say, okay, if you would like to buy a real authenticated pre-owned watches, this is by Watchfinder. And then you've got access to all the services provided by a Cartier boutique all around the world. So it's more about trust and authentication.
And in terms of expanding the Watchfinder brand through partnerships, if you like, sort of growing the brand's reach, I mean, are there things that are happening to, if you like, from a marketing perspective, just to get the brand out there to a wider audience?
So, once again, the difficulty for us is that we are not really a brand, we are a retailer. So meaning that yes, partnership with like a Grand Hotel or Conciergerie or this kind of stuff, thanks to that, help us to raise the awareness about the Watchfinder boutique, let's say. But at the end of the day, we are not directly a brand, so it's more about raising awareness of our boutiques.
Cool, thank you. For our fourth topic, I'm actually going to stay on the subject of the brand, but this time we're going to try and drill down a little more on what truly makes a luxury brand distinctive, what builds distinctive, and how brands can do that through marketing, through storytelling, whatever activities, but just kind of what makes a luxury brand a true luxury brand, if you like. So what I'm going to do is let's do a little sort of round robin. First of all, to Mathieu, Pierre-Olivier, and Nasos, and I've asked them to leave their own companies out of this, so they have to sort of they have to pick a different company, possibly from a different industry or a different part of the luxury industry. So Pierre-Olivier, I will start with you. So again, outside of Hublot, who do you feel is telling a really good, very distinctive brand story in luxury, and kind of why do you think that?
You expect a nice story of so,
ideally.
Luxury is a word of passion. So and for me the best the best brand and because sometimes you have brands they live for, like we mentioned Supreme before. Okay. They were successful 2-3 years ago. Now it's less of a success. So I mean the key player in luxury and the best story are the brand who are still alive after 100-200 years. So it's like I usually sometimes remind there was a meeting between our chairman Bernard Arnault, sorry, and the I think the Steve Jobs, or maybe somebody else, or maybe it was Mark Zuckerberg. I don't remember. But he used to say, "I'm sure that in 200 years we will still continue to drink Dom Pérignon, but I'm not sure that in 200 years Facebook will still be there." So it's the beauty of luxury and the beauty of the key players is that their life is almost forever. We don't imagine them to fail. They don't. I mean, the main ones, they don't fail because they are still always creative. I mean, they don't. Even the number one. I mean, Louis Vuitton is number one in the luxury industry, but it's very challenging to stay number one. So you need always to be open to new ideas, to be creative, to stay, even if you have a strong DNA and so on, but you can fail sometimes. So maintaining the desirability of our product, it's the key success in the luxury.
So really the answer is don't stand still, but don't always necessarily let the audience see you're changing. Be a little bit more subtle about it.
Yeah. It's a funny environment because you have your DNA, where you come from, and then from that, where do you imagine the future? How you create trends, the new trends? That's the beauty of the luxury.
Excellent, thank you, Mathieu. Pierre-Olivier did a very, very good job there of answering a question without actually giving away a name that I could see. So he did a good one on that one. But from your perspective, can you pick someone out that you feel is doing a really distinctive job in telling its story?
Yes, first of all, and I would have said that, I really liked your answer. Well done. So, but that's not an easy one right now. So from my side, when I was just thinking about this question, so I will take a totally other path. So it just reminds me a story that I still have in my mind. So it was back in 2013, so 10 days ago from now, the Parisian brand APC, so a jeans company, were able to resell their own pair of jeans twice the price of the retail price when it was worn, which was just crazy. So you can buy a jean back in the day, it was 200-ish euros. Then you can use it, go back to the boutique, resell it to the boutique, and then the boutique was able to resell it twice the price of a brand new one. It was just genius in a business point of view. And just it reminds me why it's just because of the story and they were able, and the emotion they were able to put behind the products. So everything, so it was Japanese fabrics. When you wear it, it's really, really, it's not stretch at all. So you need to wear it to make it comfortable and so on. And then you just need to pay twice the price to have a jean that has been already worn to make it comfortable. So it's just around the full story, about the full universe, about the full everything that these guys have been able to do it. And each time I'm thinking about this, it was like a marketing point of view, that's just genius.
Fantastic, thank you. And Nasos, what's your answer?
I will go away from luxury retail to hotels. Like I would say, lately following around, of course, many hotel brands are doing like an excellent job staying, following the trends and keeping up. It always caught my eye, let's say, in the past about Amman hotels, I would say, like a really distinctive, the locations are very unique. The design of each location really tries to match, let's say, where they built and where they operate, what they offer inside as well. Of course, they stepped on the steps of others. They follow the steps of others in the past, like Four Seasons as well. But nevertheless, you see like one of the brands which are really standing out, let's say, and having a more unique approach, and of course, always luxurious.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Ladies and gents, I'd just like to say we are probably going to have around sort of 4 or 5 minutes for questions. So be thinking of some good questions. We'll have hands up after in a moment. But before we do, I am going to turn to Eleonora. One of the books that you've had published this year is called Managing Luxury Brands. And in that, I know you cover how to market a luxury brand within our kind of changing global context. So tell us a little bit about some of the marketing, some of the storytelling, some of the best practice that you discovered through that process.
It would be a very long story, which we don't have time. I think Pierre-Olivier covered it well when he said, be true to yourself and at the same time don't stand still. And so to put it in the words of Karl Lagerfeld, make a better future by developing elements from the past. So I think that's certainly part of it. And the consistency and at the same time the moving ahead is the very delicate balance that you have to strike. And I think it must be quite difficult with every new product or with every new service that you develop for a hotel, for a service industry. You want to keep that connection with the brand DNA, and at the same time, it has to look contemporary. It has to be today's product, today's service. So I think that's the piece of advice that brands don't need because they know it.
Fair enough. Okay, question time. There's a hand up there. First one up, so you get the first question. If it's for one of the particular panelists, please just mention which panelist you like. But if it's a more general question, I'll just ask whichever panelist to answer it that's best able.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the panel because I think it was a brilliant insight into what was going on in the luxury industry right now. So I think a round of applause. Yeah, thank you so much. My question is more sort of a general one, so I'll let you choose who answers that. It is mostly regarding the second topic, which is sustainability, despite others were also brilliant and obviously many questions could be asked. But I would like to ask a question about an area of luxury which is still a really big part of luxury experience when you think about sustainability, how it comes to this. So private jets, right? That doesn't really work well with sustainability when you think about it. Do you know of any initiatives that could be implemented in this direction to help that, or it's a completely lost cause and we'd rather focus on other segments of luxury to be more sustainable?
Who'd like to have that tough pass?
Well, I think you answered the question yourself. The only thing that private jet companies can do is CO2 compensation. So you pay for the emissions that you make, but that's not terribly sustainable, really, is it? So,
I suppose the only other option is this sustainable fuel. I know that's a little way down the line, but at least they are looking at sustainable aviation fuel, which I guess
going
it'll
forward,
help.
that'll be sustainable aviation. I don't know whether we'll get electric planes or solar powered or whatever.
I mean, there have been steps towards that, but of course, it's not something we speak about. Evolution is you can like it's really a lot of things that go through that to reach a point. And I don't. Maybe it's like the most difficult part is like what to increase the prices of how much it will cost to use like a private jet. I don't think so. Still, like it's really limited at this stage. It's only research, and that could help this later on.
Cool. Any other questions? Who else has a question? Put your hands up if you do, and we'll bring the microphone to you. Oh, there's one at the back.
Hello. So I still have a question about sustainability. Do you think in the future some company will have, for example, less success? It's going to be limits. How they're going to be affected?
You mean if they're not sustainable?
Sorry.
You mean if they're not sustainable, if they
Yes,
don't have sustainable practices?
Yes, because like right now we're kind of in the middle, which some people actually care about it, and some people still just think about it. So in the future we'll have laws and rules. So how do you think it will be like limits?
Okay, so could sustainability be a brand killer? I guess is the answer. The question there. Sorry.
I can just try the first element of answer. Definitely, that's what you already discussed about this one. But I think in all the big luxury group, sustainability is one of the main KPIs. Now it needs to be implemented on strategic planning and so on. So it really become a real department within the organization as marketing, sales, or whatever. So I'm fully aligned saying that, okay, we can't just we need to play with it, and it will be a big element for the future at tons of levels.
Okay, we have time for just one more question from the audience. Gentleman there, if we can just pop the mic over just on the lucky last.
Just to add on sustainability, I mean, luxury, we are the opposite of the fast fashion. And fast fashion for me is not sustainable. So when we talk about sustainability, we should focus more on that kind of industry because we are not sure of their sourcing, of the quality, or the volumes are massive. We don't know how sometimes to recycle. So for me, luxury, first, of course, it's true that the volumes are totally different. It's a niche business. But in terms of who has the most impact today on the environment, I mean, the focus has to be made out of fast fashion, of course.
Yeah, great addition.
For me, it's,
Like I said, far away.
In terms of the partnerships, I just wanted to ask if the image of an artist or a celebrity that the company might be partnering up with could overshine the company's image itself. So, like, instead of increasing sales, it could cause maybe some damage.
Okay, who'd like to go first on that one?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, an ambassador or a star can have a positive and a negative impact. Negative impact is sometimes related to the behavior of the ambassador you choose. But now brands, they learn how to deal with it. And in case of, I would say, bad behavior, I mean, at least financially, because then the image, when you have a damage on your image, that's very challenging to manage. But at least financially speaking or legally speaking, the brand are, I guess, maybe not all, but brands are working to be more and more protected by the fact that a bad behavior can have a bad impact. But it's true that if you have a good front of the brand, and we see clearly, it's a precise and rational experience. But when we post on Instagram a picture with one of ambassador wearing a watch, we can see a peak on sales almost immediately. It's not within the next 2 minutes, but sometimes so it's incredible. I mean, it has an impact, that's for sure. But then it's a question of selection. Who are the right person to represent you, to present the brand, and there you need to be selective. It's like in the influencers world, you have good, bad influencers. You have the right one who fit really with the brand, and the right one as well who are really sincere to be part of your family. So when we choose the right influencers, we try to find and to identify the one who really are in love with us or who fit with us, and not just because it's a name and he has a number of followers, which is impressive.
Okay, final word, Mathieu. Did you want to say something?
Just jumping on this one, in the meantime, it's also crazy how it could be positive and negative with the same period, with the same person. I can imagine that you've got Kanye West with Yeezy and Adidas in mind. So in a period of time, it was incredibly successful, and just in a second, everything was just the worst nightmare for Yeezy and the Adidas team. So it's something that you really need to be extremely careful, and that's why big corporations.
Okay, thanks, Mathieu. Now, I just have a final question, actually, just before we wrap up, because I'm very conscious that in this room and online joining us are lots and lots of young talents with big career ambitions. So I have to close the discussion, because I have to ask you this, from your perspectives, what would be your single piece of advice to this audience in terms of making themselves more employable in the luxury industry? We'll go from left to right, so we'll start with you, Pierre-Olivier.
I mean, I always repeat, but being curious, I mean, it's something which is very important. I mean, today you have access to knowledge from every source, so don't hesitate to learn and be curious, because I always say that behind one door there is something behind. You open a new door, there is always something behind, and so curiosity is a good exercise.
Thanks, Mathieu.
I would say just be yourself and speak up. Once again, you are the younger generation, you are the future, and we need to deliver good business with you guys, and you know what you want. So just when you are joining a company, you are the sense of the future.
Okay, Nasos?
I would say don't rush, be patient. Try to start in a lower position, It's really important to have knowledge of, let's say, of the front line. And later it will come, the managerial position will come, because I know most of you aim for something like that. But believe me, if you aim for this right after this school, right after the program, probably you will come to realize that this is not possible. For sure, to manage people, you need to know how everything works, like every little piece. So be patient, and you will see you will get your rewards.
Wonderful. And last word, Eleonora.
Be determined. So if you don't get it the first time, but that is where you want to be, where you want to go, take a different position, but keep pursuing the one that you want. Maybe it's not a direct route, maybe it's going to take some twists and turns, but if you really want it, you'll get it in the end.
Fantastic. Well, as I mentioned, that's our time up for this panel today, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you all for your attention. I hope you've come away with something. And of course, if you'd like more industry insights from Glion, don't forget to check out the Glion Insider magazine, which is glion.edu/magazine. But I'd just like to say once again a thank you, and I'll ask you all to put your hands together for our fantastic panel: Pierre-Olivier Aguinalin, Mathieu Girard, Nasos Samaras, and Eleonora Concetti. Good time,